Hi everyone, it's World Mental Health Day, so I decided it was time for me to share my own mental health story, I suppose, from over the last couple of months. About maybe a month and a half ago, I began to be plagued by quite dark thoughts, sometimes suicidal thoughts, and I was worried, I was scared, and I didn't really know what to do or how to combat them. I also felt like it was something that I couldn't really talk to anybody about because despite the fact that my family and friends are all incredibly supportive and brilliant people that I love to bits, it felt like the sort of thing that I couldn't talk to them about. I didn't want to burden them with it. I didn't want to put the pressure of those thoughts that I was having onto them, and I felt trapped in that sense, really. Because I also thought if I tell my wife, for example, then maybe she'll feel like I should never be left alone, that she couldn't go to work or couldn't get on with her life. And that wouldn't really be fair. My friends may be the same sort of thing, that they'd feel like they constantly had to text and phone, and maybe that would be suffocating for me and I'd feel a little bit trapped in that situation. So I just didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to move to the next stage, how to progress, how to cope with what I was facing. But I also knew that I needed help because I was having these thoughts, and I was thinking that maybe those same family and friends would be better off without me around, burdening them, without me putting the pressure of my own emptiness onto them. And I felt like I didn't really know where my life was going or what I was doing, that I was quite rudderless. So I went to see my GP, and I was worried about that, to be honest, because my GP is quite old school, is perhaps the word you'd phrase to use him, and sorry, the phrase you'd use to describe him. And I thought, I don't really want to go in and talk to him about these things, because it felt like the sort of guy who just sort of say, "Oh, you need to pull yourself together, you need to sort yourself out," or that sort of thing. And in the end, I went in and I saw him and I explained what was going on, and I said to him, that I just didn't know what to do, and that I just really was quite scared. And he said that he thought I was depressed and that antidepressants would be the best way forward for me. And I explained that I was a little bit worried about that because a friend of mine, when I was younger, was diagnosed with depression, given antidepressive medication, and it actually turned out that he was bipolar. And when he was taking the antidepressant medication during manic phases, he went a little bit nuts, and he got lots of tattoos and did lots of drugs and did a lot of stuff that maybe nowadays he regrets doing. And I was really worried, that maybe I wasn't depressed, maybe I was manic depressive, because sometimes I was fine. Some days I could just sort of pretend that I was fine. And the doctor said that was depression, that people who are depressed don't just sit at home crying the whole time and can't move or do anything, that the depression that they have is something that hangs over them and like a big black cloud, and sometimes it's raining and they feel like they can't do anything or go anywhere or get out from underneath that cloud, and sometimes the cloud's just there and maybe the sun pokes through a little bit, and that people who have depression are good at pretending that they don't. They're good at pretending that everything's okay, and that maybe that's what I was going through and suffering from, which made complete sense for me. And he said that he thought that the antidepressant medication was the best way for me to go. And so I agreed to take it, and I came home and I spoke to my wife and I spoke to some of my friends, and to be honest, the very act of just talking to people immediately helped me feel relieved. It helped the burden lift from me a little bit, because I didn't feel like I was quite so alone anymore. And they were very understanding, much more understanding than I thought they'd be, even though I know how supportive they are. And they were just great. And the doctor also referred me to get mental health counselling, which I'm waiting to start now. And I've been on the antidepressant medication for about a month, I think. And And it feels like it's working. I haven't really had those thoughts anymore, or at least I'm pushing them to the back a little bit while I'm sort of waiting for the medication to proper take its course and for the counselling sessions to begin and all of that sort of stuff. And I feel much better. I feel much happier in myself. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that if you feel like that, if you feel down, if you feel low, if you feel like you're struggling, you're not alone. People will support you. You can get help and you will feel better. It might take a while, it might take a long time, but you will feel better, and systems are in place to help you do that. So speak to somebody, even if it's your GP, even if it's the Samaritans, anybody, just speak to somebody, because sometimes just relieving yourself of the burden of those thoughts can help. And the people around you will be understanding, they'll be supportive. And, do you know what? Some of them might not be, but they're the ones that have got a problem, not you. So on this World Mental Health Day, I think it's really important to acknowledge that we all have battles, that we all have issues that we're trying to deal with all the time. And there's nothing wrong with looking for help, asking for help, getting help. Don't feel ashamed to do that. Speak to somebody, anybody. Just relieve yourself of the burden of those thoughts, and hopefully they can help you reach the next step and take the next step in your life. Thank you for watching. Feel free to share this video if you think it could help somebody. And just know that mental health is a real thing that we all have to be aware of and take care of ourselves.